Welcome back to another episode of Bear Cave Thoughts. Now that we are getting more into Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, we can start critiquing some of the content that is coming out. Granted, all of it is not coming out or has been out or even is known by the entire player base, but that doesn't give us the time to go ahead and crack off what are some of our initial impressions going into Shadowkeep and some of this stuff that has actually released. What we're going to be covering today is the Vex Offensive, and is it actually worth it, and what do you guys think about it? Tell me down below, sound off in the comments. This is not just my view, but it's also your view on things as well. So we're going to get into the good and the bad, at least that I think is kind of bad and good, going on with the Vex Offensive that has been released recently right after the Garden of Salvation raid. So unlike the Dreaming City, it wasn't really unlocked until after the whole curse thing. It didn't do the same thing that Bungie did the first time with Forsaken, which is pretty good because we didn't have to wait for almost 24 hours for a team to complete it to get some new and cool activities within Destiny. And it's kind of cool how it was paralleling at the same time, where players were still fighting against the Soul Divisive within the Black Garden, but players were also engaging with those said Vex on their offensive attack throughout our system. So now that you have a little bit of background, let's go ahead and get right into the opinions. The good with the Vex Offensive: it is a really great grind. If you've unlocked the Vex Offensive, you are aware of how easy it is to acquire components that you can also use to pick up bounties from Ikora, and you can also pick up weapon bounties, specific weapon bounties, Ada-1 style, that allow you to get the gun that you actually want. And by you having that ability to do that, it gives the player great intentionality that has almost never been seen since most recent Destiny's Menagerie in terms of what the player wants. So the player can go out and farm the role to their heart's content to any degree that they see. The other good thing about that is, even if you're out of bounties for that day, you can pick up a random bounty from Ikora. This is something new amongst almost all of the vendors right now, is that you can pick up a random bounty that'll let you go and play, and then you can continue playing as long as you want to and get as much experience as you want to, which is really good. The next good thing about this is that the activity is actually fun. You drop into there, you're in this beautiful, lush world, the Black Garden. It actually feels like it's lived in. It's such a beautiful skybox. Bungie nailed the aesthetic, the art, the music once again, and there's just something fun about killing Vex. When you're out here killing a Vex, it is just very, I wouldn't want to call it mesmerizing, but it's just very addictive. The Vex are a very fun, it's going to sound bad, they're a very fun and a very killable enemy. And you know, when you go against the Vex, you have what you can do. Also, with them mixing in the type of enemies that you encounter with the Overlord Zealots, and the barrier enemies, majors that you're going to come across, you'll even have to spec for a specific loadout to make sure you actually have those things unlocked. So you have to even curate your loadouts for that. So that's kind of a way Bungie's even snuck curated loadouts into that activity, which is even more amazing. So in terms of like the actual activity is great. Bungie, thumbs up all over the place. You guys really knocked it out of the park. And the last thing I want to get into is we're not sure is if there's going to be any other difficulties, higher difficulties that will award better gear, but the loot appears to be quite plentiful. The game is not stingy at all. After all, I got the Vex Pulse literally when the invasions actually started, and he rolled with Feeding Frenzy Rampage, and it was one of the best rolls. But even though I got such a good roll on that weapon, I continued to want to grind more. I wanted to play more. I wanted to stay after on the moon and do more pubs. Check out the Vex Invasion, see what was going on, make sure that I could get another gun, another armor piece, get an armor piece with better stat rolls. Bungie gave us a great way to stick into the player world that necessarily doesn't revolve going around playing Crucible or playing Strikes or playing the Raid. They gave us something that we can do out in the open world that will actually benefit our characters for in-game style content. Now to the bad. There's always some bad in some degree when it comes to talking about things that Bungie does. The first thing is that the new loot pool looks incredibly shallow to a degree. I don't know if I would assume this more to Bungie. It doesn't want to pull all their cards at once, and they spent a great amount of their resources doing Armor 2.0, adding things to the world, doing Shadowkeep, doing the campaign and stuff that they had to include some of these other things that might have necessarily went into the Vex Offensive, but had to go into the campaign. Now, next season and the seasons afterwards, since there's no major content that we're actually aware of, expansion style, I'm hoping that those next content cycles for each and following season is that we're going to get a greater amount of loot within each one of those seasons. I hope. That's the plan. I hope. I give Bungie more of a pass on this one, considering the amount of work that they had to do with the base systems, getting the campaign and expansion ready, and then having to worry about the season. That's a very daunting task that doesn't have, and then you have to think about it too, Bungie doesn't have Vicarious Visions. They don't have any of the other help that they had previously from High Moon Studios either, or Activision. So this is a completely solo Bungie affair, and it's, for the most part, looking like it's a really, really good style DLC that meets Bungie quality and really playability. So I can't really fault them too much on the loot pool. The next thing I want to say is that the encounter can feel a little repeatable. From what I've played, I've seen maybe 2 to 3 different areas, but for the most part, the actual encounter is the same. You're just going to kill Vex. It's literally the Vex mixed with the Reckoning mixed with Menagerie. That's literally what the activity is, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people have grinded freaking Reckoning for so long. They've been grinding it for over 6 months, trying to get weapons out of it, because they know how good the weapons are. So if the loot's good, it's not going to really bother the player that the activity is repeatable. But if the loot's not there, can you really encourage people to play it? I know it's fun, but everything that's fun has a diminishing returns on it. So what else does the Vex Offensive actually have to offer? And that's the one question that I have that we're going to see, because we have up until about December when the Vex Invasion goes away, and then the Vex are going to make their final stand on the roadmap on November 19th. So hopefully that'll up the difficulty, up the rewards rate, or something that'll actually evolve the activity. And that's only a month away, and when you really think about it, it's really not that far. I really sound like a Bungie apologist right now. But considering this activity is going to be around for a month, and we basically went through all the forges in a month, and the forges were the same thing, and that had to last for 3 months. But this Vex Offensive is really, in reality, before it actually changes again, it's going to be around for less than a month and a half, which is quite amazing when you think about it. So hopefully that'll lead something down the road and get us excited going into the next season this winter. And finally, to cover is, I'm not sure about the difficulty and the rewards, how they're going to change over the life of the season. That kind of harkens back to the last point that I just made, where we're thinking about is like what's going to happen with this Vex Offensive final stand that's going to happen on the 19th and things like that. You just wonder if there's going to be like kind of this base difficulty, because right now the Vex Offensive is not difficult at all. The Menagerie wasn't very difficult at all either. I think this is more of an activity that really plays into the favor of casuals, but not necessarily casuals in a really negative way. Everybody's not a god tier player, and this activity is really completable. It does have some difficulty to it too, especially if you got a bunch of bad teammates. But for the more hardcore player, I think for somebody who's looking for an actual challenging activity, something major like that, you're probably not going to get your fill from the Vex Offensive, but it could scratch an itch that you've been looking for a long time. So guys, let me know what you think down below. I'm actually rattled this on right off the top of my head. Sorry for the lack of videos. I was wanting to make sure I played enough Shadowkeep to actually get a good feel what's going on, taking mental notes, being sure I wanted to actually get my entire point across. I got some more videos that I'm looking to make for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, as always, if you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not. And also be sure to share this video. Let's continue to grow this community. Thank you guys. Have a good day.